What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the very final video of the Spring Cup. It is finally over. We are looking at a submission here today from Big Junior 619. You might recognize him from the comments under Hector. But he has to say that for this team, Cacturn is his closer, Amoongus is the lead, and FERALIGATR is the safe swap. He said that he did switch Cacturn to the lead for half of these battles, so just in case you get confused, because he started seeing lots of neutral leads that he could take advantage of, which is great. He mentions using Amoongus and soft losing in tough matchups that he's ABA weak to, such as Tropius and Mawile, and then just coming in with FERALIGATR, get an energy lead, grab some shields for Cacturn in the endgame. He said, I did try for a couple 2-shield flex games that were fun. I would like if you could harshly critique, as I want to get good. This is my 3rd season and I have yet to make it to 3000 elo, so maybe this season, fingers crossed. I do feel like being triple strong and Jellicent has helped a lot. I did mess up my swap a couple times. Also, my counting has gotten better, but still needs work. Alright, I guess without further ado, let's look at some battles. Okay, so right away we've got a great lead, and our opponent is staying in this matchup, which is shocking. We are going to go for a resisted Sludge Bomb here instead of a neutral foul play. I don't know about this. You definitely want to go, even though Sludge Bomb is better damage per energy, foul play is definitely better damage per energy in this situation because it's neutral as opposed to resisted. Are you going to overfarm? You are. This is enough for another flash cannon, I believe, so you are going to respect it, and then they're going to come in with a Cherrim. We're going to chip with a Sludge Bomb to at least grab a shield, and then what are we going to do? We're going to stay in this matchup? We are. This is only enough for a Weather Ball Fire. I don't know if it's non-stab enough to KO from this range. It is. So now we're in a bit of a tricky situation, but we can just come in with Cacturn. I wouldn't be surprised if we're able to shield once and then fully farm down. And if not, I would probably just try and catch on FERALIGATR here if it was me. And that's exactly what you're going to do. So great play, and using the non-shadow so we can take this Weather Ball a lot more comfortably. And that does absolutely nothing. But unfortunately, it is a Lantern in the back. But this is where Crunch is nice. You are running Crunch instead of Ice Beam, which is the recommended moveset in this meta. But it does come in clutch against all the water Pokemon, so I can understand. And the Jellicents, which is hits super effective as opposed to all resisted. So I do understand the Crunch. But your opponent is overfarming like crazy here. They realize they have to throw, so that means they are going to dump a Surf. But a Surf will hurt the Lantern. From the Lantern will still hurt even though it's resisted here, but it won't be enough to KO. It is the Thunderbolt. They come back in with the Ferrothorn. You're going to go for a charge move here. I probably would have committed to a fast move down here because I think that is your win con at this point. But yeah, your opponent realizes that they screwed up and they resign the match. Okay, so same leads as last time. Let's see if you learn from your mistakes. No, you're still going for the resisted Sludge Bomb here. So yeah, Sludge Bomb is poison. It is double resisted on steel, but single super effective on grass. So that means that is single net. It is net single resisted on a grass steel. So definitely want to go for the foul plays in those situations. They come in with a Mantine, and you are ABA weak to Mantine, so you're kind of forced to come in with FERALIGATR here. Fortunately, it is in the back. We're overfarming like crazy here, and we do make it to back-to-back crunches. Are they going to shield the first, or are they going to let it go? They are going to shield the first because they're probably expecting only an Ice Beam plus a Hydro. But in comes back-to-back crunches, and that one deals more damage because the Crunch did get the debuff. Once again, going for the Sludge Bomb, I'm just going to assume that you're going to make this mistake consistently throughout the matchups. But we can take one charge move here, and they go for a double resisted Power Whip. I wish these were my opponents at 2650. That is truly incredible. I did not see the elo at the beginning of these videos, so I might be a little bit suspicious, but back in comes the Mantine. They're just going to force you to throw some energy, and then it's a Gashron in the back, so we have a great matchup here. They are going to go for the Body Slam, just shield everything up. We've got 2 shields. And we can probably go for the full farm down, but we are instead going to throw a Trailblaze here, going for the undercharge. That would still KO from that range. Double super effective from a Shadow Cacturn. And we're still able to get to the farm down before the opponent makes it to back-to-back moves. So we're able to take the game. We've got Tentacruel on the lead in the next match. This is a pretty neutral lead, so you are going to stay in. It looks like they did farm up, but they are only going to go for an acid spray here. And this is the correct move, going for one in the move, going for the foul play. Doesn't do too much, but go for 3 more here, and then the foul play again. Perfect, great fast move timing there. And at this point, because it's a neutral matchup, I think you said you're just going to let this go and then come in with FERALIGATR and get an energy lead. And I really like that play because that means you can start grabbing shields from your opponent with this energy lead. You will get the full farm down. You'll come out with a hydro loaded. What is in the back? It is a go-goat. I would have at least farmed up to the potential ice beam here because now they do not need to shield. Unfortunately, they are not counting, or fortunately for you, they're not counting. And I believe this is only enough for a leaf blade or a brick break, and that is super effective. And unfortunately, we do throw an alignment here. You should go for 4 sucker punches and the move, but they no shield, committing to the go-goat. But unfortunately for your opponent, all you have to do is shield this up before they make it to back-to-back moves. And even if they do, they're in Shadow Claw farm down range at this point. So your opponent absolutely sold by not shielding that Dugong, but you are able to take the win. Into the next lead, we've got a Jellicent on the lead, and this is a great matchup, and your opponent is clearly weak to this because they are staying in this matchup, and you're going to go for a foul play on CMP with the Shadow Ball, and your opponent is going to shield that up, and now they're going to try and connect with a Shadow Ball here. They bait with a Surf too, which is honestly just terrible, and that allows you to outpace, make it to another foul play. If they want a double shield, they might, or they're just going to let that go. At this point, I wonder if Shadow Ball is enough to KO. It would probably put you low, but not KO. Just like that, 1 HP, and you are able to take that matchup with 1 HP and a shield advantage, so that is absolutely massive. What is in the back? It is a Dugong. So going to come in with your FERALIGATR here. This is another situation where having crunch is really nice. And you do not throw an alignment, which is good because they could have gone for an extra ice shard there. They're going to go for an icy wind to lower your attack, and then they're going to come in with Ferrothorn, and you have a great matchup here. They don't even farm up. Yeah, I like this no shield. Save your shields for FERALIGATR. If they're not going to farm up past the Power Whip, then there's no point because one will not KO, and they will not be able to Bullet Seed farm you down. Going for the double resisted Trailblazers to boost your sucker punches is nice. And I do like this play because now at this point you do want to get rid of this Ferrothorn, so are going to shield that up. Going to come out loaded with energy, and this will be easily enough to one-shot the Dugong, I imagine, especially boosted from a Shadow Cacturne, and it does, and you are able to take that win. Lapras on the lead in the next match. This is a bit of an awkward lead because they do have super effective Psywaves here. You are going for the correct move here of a stab neutral Sludge Bomb. And they are going to shield that up, and at this point they're probably going to throw right before you get to the next move. I would imagine this is just a Sparkling Aria bait, but no, they're on Skull Bash and they boost their defense. So now what do you do here? You're going to come in with Cacturne. You are ABA Grass, which is where it comes in nice. I would shield this up. Otherwise, this Lapras is going to run through your team, and it's another Skull Bash. And yeah, you just kind of got to get rid of this thing. Your Sucker Punches are doing nothing with their defense double buff. And what is in the back? It's a barrel. And yeah, I think I was going to say you could probably just go for the full farm down, but because they're holding onto their energy, going for the Trailblaze to boost up your attack, I like that. They're one away from another charge move, so yep, shield this up, go for the Sucker Punch, get the KO. They're clearly weak to this in the back. What is in the back that does not want to see Cacturne? I bet it was a Jellicent because they just resigned the match. Great lead in the next match, and then they come in with a Ferrothorn, and ooh, I think I would consider this a mistake. I think what you do there is you just stay in with a Moongus, because you can just stay in with a Moongus, win that matchup, and then just align your Cacturne to their Jellicent later on. This is the benefit of running ABA, is you can do things like that. But right away in the next match, we've got a terrible lead. We get out into our Cacturne to mirror their Cacturne, and they come in with a Decidueye, which is a choice. Oh, maybe this matchup was like cut off halfway through because I'm seeing 2 shields gone from your opponent, and okay, so I'm not really sure what happened with this battle submission, but we're just going to ignore this, and I can kind of just, yeah, let it go to the next one. But Lapras on the lead again. We're going to probably play this out the exact same way. No, we're going to switch into FERALIGATR, forcing our opponent to make a choice, and then going for the crunch before we even make enough Shadow Claws for an Ice Beam. Now this is important because they should let that go, because they know it's not enough for an Ice Beam, but they shield either way. So yeah, I don't know what your opponents are doing in these matchups, but they do have Grass Knot and they land that, so that is super effective damage and it does KO, but we did grab a shield and we can come back in with Amoonguss. Amoonguss will be able to connect with the Sludge Bomb, and then I would just go for the full farm down here. We've already seen Grass Knot, so this is probably just a foul play. No, they're on double nuke. Interesting. I would still just go for the full farm down here. Come out with a loaded energy. I wouldn't even throw, to be honest. And yeah, this is the issue, is that you are AVA weak to Klefki, and they just no shield that. And then this is an okay matchup because it at least astonishes our neutral, and this is only enough for a foul play, but you kind of have to start shielding. So I actually like that play because you got to start shielding something. Now going for the Trailblaze, boosting our Sucker Punch damage. I think this is the right play, and they shield that up. I would probably double shield. That your Cacturn is kind of your win con at this point. Yeah, I would have shielded that. They did not have enough for a charge move at this point, but yeah, they're not able to KO, and they're not able to sideway farm you down because it's double resisted, and you're actually going to get a simultaneous KO for a tie in that matchup. I'd say good lead in the next matchup, Credilli, because obviously their bullet seeds are double resisted, and you have neutral, astonish, and foul plays, and I like the thought process there of going for the foul play right away because they're just going to go for a Rock Tomb right away. And your opponent, and you actually make a really nice play after they apply the debuff, instantly getting out into Cacturn because it's just another grass, so maybe they don't have another answer to it, but they do, unfortunately, in Mawile. But at least that means we can come in with FERALIGATR. This might be enough for a play rough, so I would have potentially shielded. Yeah, because then your FERALIGATR is just going to get rocked. And you do make it to a Hydro, but all they have to do is shield this up and they win the game. But, oh, they don't have any shields, so that is pretty nice. You are able to come in. They try and go for a foul play catch onto their Credilli, but you hold on to your energy. You make it to a Sludge Bomb. And at this point, I would just go for the full farm down and just shield everything. Ooh. Why are we no shielding? Is this you telling me you were going for the 2 shield flex? But I don't think this foul play KOs. Oh, this is... Yeah, no, not even close because of the debuff. And now you have to go for a Shadow Claw farm down. You do make it to a Hydro, but I don't think this is enough to KO the Jellicent from this range. It is just barely. Wow. So you are able to get that win. That is incredible stuff. I feel like that was not a great IV Jellicent there, because I feel like mine would have lived that, but what do I know? Either way, into the next match, we've got Cacturn on the lead in this match, and we've got it into a Ferrothorn. So this is a pretty neutral lead, but they are on Metal Claw, and they are on Mirror Shot as well. So that kind of catches us off guard, and they're actually able to win the 1-0 situation there. So pretty unfortunate, but we can just come in with a Amoonguss, clean this up, go for the full Astonish farm down, kind of just have to take these mirror shots and then just reset on FERALIGATR when they come in with whatever. What are they going to come in with? Are they going to come in with something good against Amoonguss, or reading that you're going to switch out immediately? And it is a Tentacruel. Now this is awkward because your attack is debuffed, but you don't have a great matchup in the back, so you're going to throw 1 foul play chip and then come in with your FERALIGATR. I personally would have just come in with FERALIGATR because you do have neutral crunches here and you don't really want to waste debuffed energy. That being said, I would shield this up, go for the full Shadow Claw farm down, come out with some energy. They should just instantly pivot here, and they do, and it's a Wheezing in the back. And the issue with this matchup here is because they got 0 turn switch, that means they're going to be able to outpace because they're going to be able to make it. It's 5-4 to the Sludges, so even if they're on Brutal Swing, yeah, see, I don't like this play because they're going to be able to go back to back. But now you're reading that, so you come in with Amoonguss immediately, going for the Sludge Bomb as soon as you get there, able to connect with the Sludge Bomb. That puts them pretty low, and it forces their hand to throw some energy because the Astonishes would KO. In comes a Brutal Swing. It's not enough to KO. They try and snipe with the Tentacruel. They do, and now it's about how much energy did they store on that Wheezing. not enough, and we're able to make it to the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon from this range is enough to KO the Weezing, and we're able to take that win. Weezing on the lead in the next match, and we're leading Cacturne, so this is a terrible lead. Gonna switch out into our Amoonguss, and your opponent's gonna go for a charge move right away. Now this is likely a Sludge, and it is, and that does about 40% to the Amoonguss, but this is an okay matchup. They never have an ability to farm down in this matchup because Fairy Wind is resisted. However, we are just going to overfarm here. They go for the Sludge Bomb, and your opponent makes a really nice catch on a Quagsire, which is risky as hell because if you were running Grass Knot, then that would be rough. But honestly, it works out great for them. They are able to make it to a Mud Bomb and KO your Amoonguss, but now you can just come back in with the Cacturne. They are going to be able to outpace, but not to a Stone Edge. So you're able to get to a Trailblaze before they are able to get there, and they're going to shield that. Why would they shield that? They already have such a great matchup with Weezing on the lead. So yeah, now you're just going to let this go. You've grabbed both shields, and you have Feraligator in the back with a huge energy advantage, and they don't even throw the Mud Bomb. What is your opponent doing? They clearly had enough for it, so but it is a Tropius in the back, and you are not running Ice Beam, so this is a matchup where it's really rough that you're not running it. And they let it go too because they understand that calling the bait is kind of one of their only win cons. They live one crunch. Here comes the second. They live that one too. But you do get the defense drop, but they're probably just going to throw a charge move and reset because that's all they really have to do here. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to grab that shield. They're going to reset. You overfarm here, play to the CMP tie, which is super nice. And it is enough to KO the Weezing. Maybe not a great IV Weezing. And now it's a pacing game. Can you make it to back-to-back Hydros before they make it to back-to-back Leaf Blades? I do not know. It's going to be close. In comes the first, and because you throw right away, I'm assuming they do not have a charge move, which means you are able to take this win just barely with Feraligator there. Great lead in the next match. Cacturne into Amoonguss, and we're going to play to a CMP tie with a foul play. That is interesting. I would never. Oh, it wasn't a CMP tie. I'm not really sure what happened there. I did not see an Astonish Sneak. Maybe I'm just not seeing that right. And they're on Grass Knot, which is unfortunate because you no shield. You basically sacrifice the Feraligator. And now where do you go from here? You're going to come back in with a Cacturne. I'm surprised you didn't just play out this matchup and then shield because I feel like this would be a very dominant matchup for the Cacturne here, even if you had to give up shields. But able to make it to another Trailblaze, throwing just to deny their energy. What is in the back is a Ferrothorn, and if Ferrothorn is their best response with an Amoonguss on the lead, what are these teams? These are very strange. But you are going to shield up a Power Whip here. Now going for the double resisted Trailblaze once again, just boosting up these Sucker Punches. This is what's important in this matchup, and it's a Feraligator in the back, and you aren't able to make it to a Trailblaze, but you do so much damage with those Sucker Punches that even if they're running Ice Beam here, it shouldn't be enough to one-shot, and I think you can get the Astonish farm down, which you can, and now it's a race, Astonish versus Bullet Seed, and they're not going to make it to a charge move, so just like that, you're able to win the game, and that is the end there, yeah. So, overall, I don't know how much I like ABA. I think, so one of the things you mentioned in your write-up was that you struggle getting past or getting up to 3,000, and I think part of that is team building, and I think running ABA in a limited cup can work, but if you see one of those answers to ABA, you're basically screwed from the get-go, which is why I prefer ABB teams in general. And also not having grass coverage on your Feraligator when it's your safe swap, I guess is okay because you have two other like grass answers, I guess, on this team. Another thing is just understanding your typings. You said you're at 2650. Some of these matchups didn't totally look like 2650, I'll be completely honest, but because you're going for resisted sludge bombs when you should be going for neutral foul plays, and a couple of shielding decisions were a little bit interesting from both you and your opponents, but overall I think you played really well. I think your fast move timing was pretty spot on. I like the design of the team in general, where you have two fast move pressure Pokemon and some charge move pressure with Feraligator and Cacturne as well. It is a little glassy, but Amoonguss does kind of round that out a little bit. And then understanding that your team is glassy and going for the non-Shadow Feraligator instead, I think is a smart play. But yeah, I hope this was helpful to you and anyone else watching the channel. But that's going to be it for me from this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.